now see my Batman credibility disappear?
But I'd be lying if I said over the years I didn't sit back and look at the movie community conversate about these films and just feel kind of left out. I never felt that enthusiastically about these movies or loved them as much as other people where they just talk about them endlessly with such high regard.
You see, my father was a YouTuber, a good one. He said Batman and Robin was a bad movie. Everyone agreed. But you mentioned that the Nolan trilogy isn't as amazing as everyone says. Well, then everybody loses their minds. I just want to see the people of my channel smile again. So I take some cheap store makeup, and I do this to my face. And I say, why so serious? Brilliant! And that, my friends, is why I never became an actor. If you saw my last review, you know I came out here all vulnerable and honest with you guys that in my heart, I didn't completely love the Nolan trilogy like a lot of you out there. I am fully in agreement that they are good movies, but some of y'all in the comments section proved me right about how passionately you feel about these films. Just because I said I liked them instead of loving them, y'all really came for me. And I'm not even mad, man. That's the beauty of movies right there. Some can hit you so hard, you feel kind of offended when someone says they don't love them the same way. But when it comes to Christopher Nolan's sequel with The Dark Knight, I am right there with you in fully embracing and loving this film. This is a damn Batman movie of the ages, iconic, legendary. Heck, this sequel is so damn good that we essentially call the whole Nolan trilogy after it. You know how good your movie has to be that you ignore the first film and obviously naming that after the trilogy? This isn't the Batman Begins trilogy, it's the Dark Knight trilogy. No other trilogy has done that where you name it after your second movie. But enough preface, and let's just go ahead and dive into it and see if I can further elaborate why I love this Nolan film and consider it to be the best Batman movie ever made. As always, beginning a film off following the Warner Brothers logo, our Batman logo, this time made out of blue flames. Leading us to what not only is the best opening for a Batman film, but establishes so much about a brand new character in the span of just 5 minutes.
So why do they call him a Joker? I heard he wears makeup.
I guess the Joker's as crazy as they say. I'm betting the Joker told you to kill me as soon as we loaded the cash.
The way Christopher Nolan plays this scene out of these henchmen putting together a heist of stealing money from this bank while at the same time feeding you little tidbits and details about this version of the Joker was a brilliant way to do it. It's also enhanced by the fact that all these henchmen are wearing clown masks and are fitting the theme of the Joker, something I'm so happy Christopher Nolan decided to do, because in his world of realism and groundedness, this could have been something that felt out of place for him that other old previous Batman movies did of having the henchmen match the theme of their boss. But it's things like this that actually make this feel like a Batman movie to me. I'm also glad how much respect Christopher Nolan pays to the Joker in here, wanting to give him a big swell of music and rise when his face is revealed.
Whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger.
It kind of reminds me of the same way Burton introduced Jack Nicholson's Joker for the very first time. A swell of music and a big reveal. And I'll be going more in detail with Heath Ledger's Joker as the film continues on, but we gotta catch up now to what our Dark Knight has been up to ever since the last film. With the way Batman Begins ended and setting up that the Joker was out there causing havoc, we can assume that Batman has been Batman for maybe a couple more months. But it is enough time where when the bat signal is put out in the sky, it strikes fear in criminals, even if that bat signal is not recognizable at all. Like, I love you, Christopher Nolan, and I know you like your realism, which is why I probably bet this was a real light they shined in the sky, but you can't tell me you'd look in the sky and think that's a bat symbol.
Is it just me, or does that look like a giant cat?
The crime in progress that Batman is being called about is one that involves Scarecrow, played by Cillian Murphy. I'm glad they brought him back. It just sucks again that it was for such a minor role, and he ends up just becoming the sort of cameo of the series. It's great to see him there just to have the Batman world filled out and know that these different characters are out there, but when we barely got enough of him in the previous movie, it just feels kind of sad to only see him for a glimpse here. Immediately though, Batman does show up to the scene, and here Christopher Nolan shows that he slightly improves the fight scenes from the previous movie. In Batman Begins, it was nothing but really quick, flashy edits that made it so uncomfortable to watch a lot of the fight scenes going on. Here, Christopher Nolan actually steps back, lets you see some of the punches thrown, and while it's still not the best choreography, it is way more improved where these scenes are actually enjoyable and make Batman doing his thing fun to watch. I also really like the way Christopher Nolan used his gadgets in these first couple of scenes, where to anyone unaware that Batman is using gadgets, it seems like he has superhuman abilities, being able to bend a gun, cut through a van, even damn break down an entire car. The other thing we see here is that Batman has inspired the city, unfortunately not in the way he's wanted.
What's the difference between you and me?
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
But now, having established the main villain and seeing Batman back in action, we get a look at his Batcave and new base of operation. Now, I'll definitely admit, this was a choice, this sort of high-tech, trailered out Batcave. While I'm someone who will always prefer the traditional cave setting, this was kind of nice and refreshing after several Batman movies to do something a little different. Plus, with the renovated Gotham that's been sleeked down and turned to a plain old city, down to Wayne Tower looking completely different, this new Batcave matches that aesthetic, so I don't mind it as much. Here's then where the film decides to introduce us to another very important character who gets also only 5 minutes to introduce exactly what kind of person he is.
Hostile? I see you hostile.
Carbon fiber, 28 caliber, made in China. If you want to kill a public servant, Mr. Maroney, I recommend you buy American.
Aaron Eckharts, who plays Harvey Dent here, is phenomenal, man. Christopher Nolan really does know how to cast these roles exceptionally well. Maybe just not when he needs to recast them, aka new Rachel. But the dynamic and contrast that Harvey Dent brings in as this White Knight of Gotham, as they call him, I feel was always the representation of what Bruce Wayne could have done to help Gotham City outside of being Batman. Bruce always feels like the only way he can cleanse the city is by putting on the mask and fighting crime himself, but Harvey Dent was the one person that showed you can get that done without a costume and all these gadgets. It's kind of what makes his story and arc in this film all that more tragic when he even foreshadows his own future.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
That's another thing I want to mention there. The Dark Knight, I think, is like the most quotable of the trilogy. So many great lines said throughout this film that, yes, some have criticized the Christopher Nolan trilogy for just sounding like everyone is trying to be Shakespeare, and this isn't really how humans talk to each other, always sounding like they're reading from a verse.
It's not about money. It's about sending a message.
Some men aren't looking for anything logical like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Why is he running, Dad?
Because we have to chase him. Because he's the hero Gotham deserves. But not the one it needs right now.
But I really enjoy the dialogue, even if it's not all that realistic, ironically, in a very realistic Batman movie. From there, we're treated to just one of the many iconic scenes featuring Heath Ledger's Joker and what I call his real introduction into the character.
How about a magic trick? I'm gonna make this pencil disappear.
This is definitely where I want to talk about Heath Ledger's Joker. Yes, I agree. He is the best Joker we've ever had. Everybody has their favorites and appreciate different Jokers for other reasons, and I feel the same way. I have a soft spot for Jack Nicholson's Joker, and I thought he set a really good standard for other Jokers to follow. Joaquin Phoenix gives a great and daring performance looking more into the mentally ill side of the Joker, and even a few things in Jared Leto's Joker stand out to me as this sort of menacing crime boss I would not want to be stuck in the same room with. But Heath Ledger's Joker to me was always the perfect encapsulation of everything I wanted in the Joker. The man has the humor.
Think you could steal from us and just walk away?
Yeah.
You kind of need that with someone called the Joker. Not to mention his look is really on point for Christopher Nolan's world. As much as I criticize Christopher Nolan and these future Batman films for wanting to keep Batman so realistic, these two villains in the film, Two-Face and Joker, are some of the best ones to get the realistic treatment because they still fit in that world. While this Joker was not thrown into a vat of toxic chemicals having permanently white skin, I'm kind of way more creeped out that this person has those scars for unknown reasons because he changes his story every time, but ultimately what makes him stand out as the best for me is his intelligence.
See, I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve.
I can criticize all I want sometimes about how I think Christopher Nolan stripped too much away from Batman by making him ultra realistic, but man, did him and David S. Goyer 100% understand the relationship and battle of Batman versus Joker.
I don't want to kill you. What would I do without you? You complete me. I think you and I are destined to do this forever.
From there, we see that Bruce Wayne goes ahead and pays Lucius Fox a visit, who has been running Wayne Enterprises for him, wanting to get a suit upgrade, a nice evolution for Batman / Bruce Wayne here, because he's someone who would constantly be wanting to improve himself, be better out on the field, and I like how they finally address the whole no turning your head thing.
You want to be able to turn your head.
A short way backing out of the driveway easier.
and creating a more practical Batman suit that makes a lot more sense. Again, I wish I loved it as much as other people. It definitely makes more sense and finally strips away Batman from having that awkward posture when he's doing his fight scenes, but at the same time, it makes Christian Bale look so small. And I'm not even just talking about like the size of the suit in terms of the arm or the torso, like the head itself just makes Christian Bale's head look so small. This suit could have been a little more improved if they fixed that cowl a little bit. That's just my opinion. I know there's people out there who love this suit because it does look pretty good in some shots. As the film continues on though, we see that Bruce Wayne needs to head off to Hong Kong to go ahead and extradite a person believed to be the accountant for the criminals of Gotham. Funny enough, this sequence of Batman going to a different country, China, and kidnapping this man out of his country and dropping him into the US is the reason The Dark Knight was banned from China. I think that's kind of insane, but as far as context goes in the film, it was kind of one of the first times it showed that Batman doesn't have a limit to just Gotham City. And here, 40 minutes into the film, even though everything previously has been good, Joker's schemes really put the film into high gear.
Batman must take off his mask and turn himself in. And every day he doesn't, people will die.
I've had a change of heart. If Coleman Reese isn't dead in 60 minutes, then I blow up a hospital.
The way Heath Ledger's Joker puts Batman and the citizens of Gotham into these moral dilemmas where he proves good people can turn bad makes the film so riveting and interesting, and it's a nice contrast to Jack Nicholson's Joker in the '89 film because he was also given multiple schemes and plots throughout that film. But here, all of Joker's schemes are planned out, thought out, and lead to one ultimate goal.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
Here's where I'll even admit that I think the Joker in the end wins. Starting off with the origin of Harvey Dent and Two-Face, although I feel like that's my main criticism about The Dark Knight is just how shoehorned at the end Two-Face is in this movie, and again is not fully utilized to his full potential. Everything that led from Harvey Dent going from the White Knight of Gotham to this bad guy all makes sense. The loss of Rachel hit him hard, and even worse that the Joker tricked Batman into saving the wrong person.
Which one you going after? Rachel.
By mixing up the addresses between where Rachel and Harvey were located. The makeup and visual effects used on Harvey Dent's face as Two-Face also really iconic. This is where some of that Christopher Nolan realism kind of enhances this character and works for me, because even this is not that realistic. If you look like that and had burns that exposed, you would not be able to be walking around letting air hit you and drink alcohol. You would be in so much pain. As well as I don't fully buy that Harvey Dent would not want to blame and kill the Joker over what happened to him. How could you not blame the Joker for Rachel's death? He's fully aware it was his plan. But that's the thing with The Dark Knight. It's such a good movie that all these negatives I just flat out ignore. While Two-Face is on his crusade to get back at everybody, we see that Batman has come up with a plan to find out where Joker is, turning every phone in Gotham City into a sonar device, something that really upsets Lucius Fox.
This is wrong. This is too much power for one person. I'll help you this one time, but consider this my resignation.
I get the invasion of privacy and that this isn't something right to do, but it's also like Batman we're talking about here. Have you not worked alongside Bruce Wayne and Batman enough to know that he wouldn't be someone to abuse this tech? And after all the destruction that Joker has caused, how could you not want to use this to find him? So I was always a little annoyed with Lucius Fox's extreme reaction to this. Yet of course, here the plan works, and Christopher Nolan shows us that through the progress of the movie, his Batman was learning the actions of Joker, being the only one to have the common sense that if something seems too easy, the Joker made it that way on purpose.
It's not that simple. With a Joker, it never is.
Having the hostages actually look like henchmen in here and almost killed by the police, that's just some of that Joker chaos brilliance I hope we see more in other future Batman movies.
Look up. See those bad guys on the floor above? They're waiting to ambush the SWAT team coming up the elevator.
Stuff like this and the dilemma put with the two boats set to explode is something I could never see Joaquin Phoenix's Joker ever do. There is nothing in his films to show he has that level of intelligence like Heath Ledger, because I know there'll be some people in the comments picking Joaquin Phoenix's Joker over Heath Ledger's, but I'm like, hey, When I see Joaquin do a plan like that, then I'll reconsider my selection. But as far as the character of Joker goes in here, this is where again I say he wins when he fights against Batman. Because while he already proved that he could break someone like Harvey Dent and turning him into a villain that went as far as kidnapping the family of Jim Gordon, this is where he succeeds in making Batman break his one rule of not killing somebody, going ahead and killing Harvey Dent.
I have one rule.
Oh, then that's the rule you'll have to break to know the truth.
Batman finally having crossed that line and knowing what the actions and death of Harvey would mean to Gotham, it completely makes sense to me why he would retire after this point, only a year and a half into being Batman. Look, coming from someone who isn't a big fan of the entire Nolan trilogy, The Dark Knight is that one film I hold in high regards and completely understand why people love this series so much. It felt like the most Batman has ever been in this trilogy. Also, the take of realism and groundedness excelled the two villains here, Joker and Two-Face. Plus, on that subject of Joker himself, Heath Ledger carries this movie to greatness. But again, those are just my opinions with The Dark Knight, guys. I would love to hear from you guys. What makes this film stand out to be one of the best Batman movies made? Do you ever think there'll be a Batman movie that exceeds the quality of this film? And on a slightly unrelated note, since I did get to see Matt Reeves as the Batman already, I'll be posting my review tomorrow, or if you're watching this in the future, it's already up. I'll still make sure to finish this series of movies with The Dark Knight Rises and Batman vs Superman, but do expect my spoiler-free thoughts on the latest Batman movie before those reviews. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.